Hello popcorn junkies, welcome to this review of The Conjuring.
Last Rites.
Does that mean it's the end of this epic franchise of how many films are there? 13 films? The 9th
Well, it won't be,
installment.
I don't think it'll be the end of all of the universe.
The
I just think
Conjuring
it's the
ever.
end of the Conjuring film.
Because, explain to us, Maddie, I'm not a Conjuring aficionado. I've seen films in all strands of it, like I've seen The Nun, and I've seen Annabelle.
Creation.
Yeah. And are there other spin-offs from it as well?
Nun, Annabelle Creation, Annabelle, Conjuring. I
think those are they. Are there any others, guys? That might be.
Maybe
But the sort of the original, the OG Conjuring films pivot around. What are their names? Lorraine.
Warrens.
The Warrens.
Lorraine and Ed Warren.
Yeah, played by Vera, Farmiga, and Patrick Wilson.
I love those two.
I do too. They're sort of, I don't know, they're almost as kind of comforting as Richard and Judy on This Morning or something like that. Paranormal mum and dad.
Trustworthy.
Yeah, and when they walk into your house, you think at least they might save me from a poltergeist. So this is, as I say, this is the latest Conjuring. It's done incredibly well at the box office already. We saw it last night. And really, this kind of starts, doesn't it, with them having... Well, it starts with it's a huge flashback to her getting pregnant or having a baby and touching a mirror.
Yeah, basically. That sums up the beginning of the film.
Yeah. She's pregnant, touches a mirror. It interferes with her birth.
It does, drastically.
And we guess that the mirror's haunted. I mean, I feel I've seen a million... Okay, before we get into the actual nitty-gritty of this, I think going into it, my concern about The Conjuring was... Or what I thought I was going to get and what I expect from a Conjuring film. And we went with Maddie's boyfriend as well, who's quite a fan of the franchise, isn't he?
Yes, indeed.
And I only discovered this year what Final Destination is all about, what makes that sort of tick. And then Terrifier last year, I found out what makes that tick. So I get it. It's about adjusting your expectation to what you know you're going to get.
Yeah.
And I think what I thought I was going to get and think I'm going to get with the Conjuring film is something that's a bit tongue-in-cheek, doesn't take itself too seriously. But has the kind of scares and thrills of, say, a haunted house at a fun fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, would that be an accurate...
I would agree with this.
There you go. Well, that's what I went in wanting. And so we started with this flashback and...
Which I'll just say straight up.
Say it.
It's fat and shit.
What, that opening scene?
Yeah.
Touching a mirror?
It was just done...
Obviously.
Yeah. And I do know...
Chin.
I get that the Conjuring films are, like when you're going to see a Conjuring film, you are seeing a more obvious horror film.
Yes.
It's not quite our cup of tea. We like the very original ideas, kind of...
that spins off into other sort of themes.
Yeah. But when you're seeing a Conjuring film, you kind of know what you're going to get. It's a reliable source. You're not going to jump out your skin kind of thing. But I just think even for The Conjuring, I just felt like as an opening to the film, it just wasn't great, especially when I thought the rest of the film wasn't as bad as the start of the film, the opening part of the film, and it just seemed a shame that they kind of set it up so, I don't know, weakly. It was just weak. All the bits that were supposed to be scary at the start were just really badly done, and it just felt a bit cheap and weak and whack.
And it became a weaker beginning to the film the further you got into the film, and I'll explain what I mean by that. In that, clearly what happens because of the trauma with the mirror is her pregnancy. She's forced into labour. She has their baby. And in many ways, what they had that they could have played with was quite, and they do play with it, but I don't think they played with it well. They could have played with almost a Rosemary's Baby situation where the baby was it's, I thought the baby itself was going to be the haunted thing rather than being a sort of conduit for seeing other haunted things. So there's a stillbirth. There's kind of an effective moment. I tell you what, there's an effective moment when she was actually giving birth. And then you saw the creature kind of like, kind of crawling along the ceiling, and you saw the eyes.
Yeah, that was the most effective bit of that
scene.
Start, yeah.
But what they could have done was, did you feel that, I kept expecting, whilst the surgeon or the guy who was delivering the baby was turned away, at some point I was expecting him to turn around and go,
oh, really?
Yeah,
no, I know what you mean, yeah.
It never surprised me.
Yeah, it was predictable. All of the bits that kind of happened were very predictable.
I've heard some people...
So I would say, like, the first Conjuring film, I mean, it helped that when I first saw it, I was a lot younger because the first film was ages ago now. But the first film, like, really freaked me out, and it did a really good job of being both, still a predictable kind of horror film, but still kind of making you jump and scaring the shit out of you. But also, like you were saying earlier, having that tongue-in-cheek that worked. And I just don't know, I just felt like everything kind of missed in this, all of the beats missed. And...
I think you're right. And I mean,
Have you seen all of the Conjuring?
No. I mean, I have seen a Conjuring, but I can't say I was particularly enamoured with it. I think my problem with it is it's the paranormal. I find the paranormal a little bit predictable. You know, my generation had things like Carrie, The Exorcist, Poltergeist. You know, there's only so much kind of flying around and things sitting in cupboards and in corners.
Yeah, the supernatural, paranormal, that kind of stuff doesn't really freak me out that much.
So I thought, actually, interestingly, this film had the richest potential source of horror, which was their daughter. And then I thought they dealt with the horror around their daughter in the most obvious fashion, like with hands on shoulders and seeing shit. And
I just also find what kind of made this film weak as well is with the other Conjuring films, you spend a lot more time with the family that are actually experiencing the horror and the haunted house or whatever.
Right.
And you usually spend most of the film with them, and then the Warrens kind of come into it as this strong kind of safe pair of hands. That's what kind of happens, and they rock up and they fix the situation. A lot of drama happens. Whereas I felt like, and I love the Warrens. Like me and Paddy kind of love the Conjuring films just because we love when they show up and it's all a bit like and
camp,
because they just we spent more time with the Warrens, and I in a weird way think that was kind of what the problem with the film was, which I'm surprised that I'm saying because they were always my kind of favourite part of the films. But there were, I personally think that all the moments that they did kind of let us sit with the family experiencing the horror were some of the strongest parts of the film.
Yes.
And were the most like the first Conjuring.
And that family that you're talking about, which is the family where someone in the Smurl family buys the mirror that's fucking traumatized, you know, the Warrens. You know what? I'm going to say it now. I don't think you can build a film around a haunted mirror.
Yeah, no, I think that was the problem as well, that it was around a mirror. I wasn't scared of the mirror. You know?
But the mirror wasn't a mirror into anything, or it didn't take us anywhere. And then we had really kind of predictable dolls on the floor. We had predictable long kind of flecks for the phone going into the larder.
No, I think those bits were that bit was good. Because like I was saying, when we first kind of came out of the cinema, the really long, it wasn't that long to be honest, but I feel like it's the only bit in the film where they really just let themselves sit with it, so it felt longer, was the sequence of the mother of the Smurl family kind of walking around the house, and she's like noticing different weird things, like the phone being pulled into that room in the dark, and her kind of going down into the basement, and then that weird guy with the axe being stood behind her and nothing really happening. That is where The Conjuring is good for me. Like the first film, most of the first film was sequences like that, where there was no music, no audio, it's all kind of normal, nothing that bad happens, it's all just a lot of like really weird, creepy things. I thought that was really rich, but again, that wasn't centered around the mirror. It was like all the moments that weren't happening, you know, that were happening with the spirits that were possessing the
No, I think you're right, and I think although the mirror was cumbersome, it was awkward. And there's a moment where they try to throw it out, which I thought was the most effective kind of body horror moment, if you like, where as the dumpster truck crushes it, and you think, oh, they've got rid of the haunted mirror that's traumatizing all of their lives. One of the daughters starts to choke up broken mirror, all the broken glass of the mirror, and I thought, oh yeah, no, that's interesting. But you're right. I think something you've just said is really spot on. When they just sat with the Smurl family that was being haunted, you had an opportunity for those horror sequences to kind of grow. So the most effective moment for me really was when the mum went down into the basement. There was the shadow of the guy with the axe, and then she turns the light on. It's a poster of John Wayne, and I thought nothing happened, and that was really effective. And you're right, you know, when she was walking around, and you've got a fucking the doll on the floor was creepy enough as a doll. So you know it's going to get a whole lot creepier when it jumps on its I mean, the audience laughed at that. There were times where it was almost verging on, script-wise, the naked gun. It had, you know, it was, but not in a funny way, because the rest of the film wasn't sort of leaning into that kind of slapstick. But it was dangerously close to slapstick, just because I think it was badly written sometimes. One of the kind of threads throughout this is that, what's his name, the bloke? Ed. Ed's heart is dicky, and apparently at the end of the last film he
has a heart attack.
Yeah. So all the way through this, there's the idea that he might die. He's taking pills. He's.
They're not doing their. They're not taking any cases because
they're not taking any cases. They've retired. They're doing lectures. I felt there was a definite suggestion at the front of the film because their lecture halls were empty. No one was really, a bit like me, I was like, I'm not buying this paranormal shit anymore.
So the first one's like when they're doing their lectures, it's like a full class.
Yeah, paranormal's gone. But I think they could have lent into that a bit more. They could have sort of gone, no one believes in this shit anymore. It's all a bit predictable, it's all a bit silly. There were lots of kind of Easter eggs in there with characters. I noticed at one of the funerals you were like, oh, that's her from that one.
Yeah, there was all the ones from the families that they've got before.
I like their room in their house of all the haunted bits. It kind of reminds me of my room. But then we had the narrative of their daughter's fiance, and that character who came in, what was his name? Played by Ben Hardy, Judy's boyfriend, their daughter's boyfriend. Yeah, I kept willing him to be funnier or more interesting or something darker and more twisted.
I just don't think he was written very well. Like, he had potential to be...
I didn't care about their daughter getting engaged.
I didn't care about their daughter, period.
She was weird.
She was a bit annoying, and like, I don't know. It's not the actor's fault or anything. I get annoyed sometimes because I just feel like so often female roles are just written so poorly, and then just any female character annoys me. And as a woman, I'm annoyed that I'm always annoyed by the women in films, but she was really, really annoying. I just wanted her to die.
Yeah. I mean, there was some, it's quite an achievement for a film in which you've got lots of death. Like, people suddenly get hung, people spit out blood. I'm going to be honest, I genuinely jumped 3 times.
You jumped a decent amount of times.
Yeah, 3 times. But it was just the sound and the suddenness of it.
Yeah, it wasn't the actual things that ever scared me.
No, one thing I didn't feel throughout this film at any point was creepy. I didn't feel creeped out. I didn't feel unsettled. Which even sometimes with an inefficient kind of horror film, there may be, like Weapons, for example. We weren't as enamoured with Weapons as everyone else was. We liked it. But the villain in that, the monster in that, the aunt in that was so creepy. So it stuck with you. Even Longlegs, when it was effective, that character was effective. There was no character in this. I think, again, the mistake was there was no character in this. So we had a couple, there were moments which in a weird way chime with the idea of it being a kind of a fairground ride. When she's getting dressed with the wedding dress and you had all the mirrors.
Yeah.
That was like those rooms that you go in, isn't it?
Yeah.
In a fun house. Mirror maze. I thought that had the potential to be really, really, really creepy.
Yeah.
But I felt they threw it away when they had the dirty old woman under her dress go.
Yeah, it just... everything, you can do anything and it'll make you jump if you make the sound loud enough and something runs at the camera, like, it's going to make you jump, but it didn't scare me. But I think that's more the point of them. They're more to just make you go, than like just be deeply horrified and traumatized and unsettled like we seem to want to.
So I have to confess, I wasn't won over. It's 135 minutes. It's 2 hours 15 minutes. It
felt longer than that, I'll be honest.
It felt really long. The final act felt like it went on for fucking days. And I'll tell you something else that's a real problem, and I don't know if this is the case with most Conjuring films, Nun films or Annabelle films. I don't get scared by dolls anymore. They don't do it for me. We've been there a million times. Too many times I felt in this, because of the paranormal aspect of the horror, someone would be battling something and you'd be thinking, oh my God, this is awful, they're going to die. Like the dad when he was raising above the bed and all that. But then when another person breaks the kind of spell, if you like, and sort of saves them, and then you cut to a sort of an exterior shot of them, or a shot where you suddenly see, oh, it's not really happening to them. That served to kind of make absolutely no one really under threat. I didn't see where anyone ran the risk of actually dying.
Yeah.
Because it was all, even the girl who was vomiting glass, it was all then presented as almost an hallucination.
Yeah, no, I think they all, if I really think about it, I think they all kind of do that.
Do they?
Yeah.
That's my problem with the paranormal. It's like horror light. It's like safe horror.
Yeah.
I mean...
Then they are also all based on true cases.
Yeah. But
so they can't really kill people if they didn't die in the real life.
Now, I know that Maddie says at the end of all these films, Conjuring fans here will say this, they always have a montage of kind of, the real material, the real clips and all that kind of stuff. I like that. That was my favourite part of the film. And I felt that, I know it would have broken the tradition, they needed to take a bit of that and plonk it at the front. Because actually, when you then realise that this family, with the mirror, it was real, it gave it a certain validity, which I just didn't buy into in the film.
But I think if you've seen the films, which I think most people would see this film having seen all of the others. I think going into it, they know that what they're watching is things that will have, they know that the real material.
What scene would you say was the most stressful? And sort of like, we come out of most horror films and we go, oh God, I couldn't bear it. It just wouldn't end.
There was a bit I was really stressed.
The most stressful scene, the boyfriend ends up almost getting his head squished because they drag the fucking mirror along, the mirror pushes along the floor.
It was pretty stressful, the point where the daughter was possessed and was kind of like, and the house was locked
Yeah.
and nobody could get to anyone and everything was kicking
Yeah.
off. But I was really stressed in the bit where that mother was walking around the house. It's just really like the Conjuring.
Yeah, that was the
films,
most
that's
effective, wasn't it?
yeah.
You're right, that was the most effective. And actually, it's when you've stripped back all the audio, all the sound, and
Yeah.
nothing's happening, but anything could happen. That's when
it's rich.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's summarise and let's score it. So, in summary, was this everything you were hoping for?
I mean, I wasn't going. Paddy's more of a fan of these films than I am, just because.
Did he like it?
Yeah, he did. Just because he hated horror films and never watched them before dating me. He's terrified of them, and I like basically forced him to be a horror movie watcher. And he likes the Conjuring films because of the fact that they don't deeply traumatize and unsettle him for days on
Right.
end afterwards.
Right.
And you can kind of just watch it and be like, ugh, with your mates, and like kind of. That's
Yeah.
kind of the point of Conjuring films. Like whenever I've watched
Right.
Conjuring films, it's been with my mates. You know, everyone's winding down, and you just want to all go like, oh my god, that made me jump out my skin.
Yeah.
So when I like going in seeing this film, like I kind of know what I'm gonna get from a Conjuring film, so I don't really have any like, oh, what's it gonna be, what's gonna happen. I knew what I was gonna get. Like it really wasn't terrible, but I would say out of all of the Conjuring films I've watched, it is my least favourite, and I felt like it was the least smart or rich in what it was doing, and it didn't kind of, like we've said, it didn't really go for any of its themes hard enough for it to deliver well enough. Like didn't really go hard enough with the tongue-in-cheek, didn't go hard enough with the scary stuff, so you did kind of just feel like you were watching a wishy-washy film, which I think is why it felt so long as well.
Yes.
It really felt
Maybe they'd have
far
helped
longer
themselves
than
if
2
they'd
hours,
trimmed
15.
20 minutes off. It could have felt tighter.
But it felt, I mean, it was at the point where the Warrens were rocking up at the family's house. I was like, oh my god, it's already been 2 hours,
Yeah.
and they're only just getting to the house. That's crazy.
Yeah. I had no.
Also,
snap.
I was actually pretty stressed with Father. What's his name?
That was yeah, you're right. He's from the other films, isn't he?
Yes.
The original kind of priest. I liked him. I felt safe with him, but yeah, he had a grisly end, didn't he?
Yeah, literally.
In a fake office.
In a fake office.
Well, that room that he
It was a real place. And
Yeah.
she just disappeared when.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's so.
But you're right, actually. Actually, it's most effective when it had a wire moving. So like the plug for the Hoover going down the hall.
Yeah.
That was kind of, at that point I was getting kind of It vibes, you know? Sort of
yeah.
Pennywise, that sort
Stephen
of thing.
King.
I mean, sometimes the gloss and the sheen of it, I mean, some
Yeah.
people have said this is the most cinematic, which I kind of thought, wow, is it? I mean,
Cinematic.
oh my god, that's my stomach.
Most cinematic of the Conjuring films.
Yeah.
No, I disagree with that entirely.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I wasn't, surprised. I was hoping to like it a bit more than I did, especially considering it's like the final one of these four films. But it was still, I would still recommend it as a film to go and see with your mates if you just want to jump on your skin kind of thing.
Okay.
So I
What are you
think
gonna
I
give
would give it.
I think it's going to be quite. You're going to be quite generous, I think.
No,
I feel
I'm
it
not
coming.
generous. Like 30.
Oh, God, not at all. Oh, okay. I was massively disappointed. This is like horror films for toddlers. It was so safe. It was so uncomplicated. It made me not have a chilled thought about me, my life, or anything. I wasn't surprised. The moment that got me the most was the hand, which is in the trailer, that appeared on her shoulder whilst they were having lunch. But I actually looked at you and I was being silly, and I just missed it and just caught it disappearing.
Did you?
Yeah. No, I just caught the very
He's too busy being silly the entire time.
Yeah, tail end of the sort of fingernails kind of moving. I thought it was really predictable. It was one of those films, it kind of had that same aspect to it that Scooby-Doo used to have, which is no one really dies, and everyone pulls a mask off and goes, it was all me, actually.
Yeah.
And none of the original family died, and I realise I hear what you're saying, it's based on a real story. But again, I do wonder whether actually the Conjuring films, though it hasn't bothered its fucking box office. I'm looking here, it's made 187 million already. It's trebled its fucking budget, that is a success. I think I know they don't in real life. I would have just stepped away from the truth of it all and killed the husband. I think Ed needed to die. Rather than in the end credits scene. He nearly died. I mean, he was on the stairwell, he was popping fucking, pills, and you're like, well, I know what a risky you are they? I thought the mirror was ridiculous. We had a long truncated scene where I was merely thinking about, wow, what a tall loft they've got. I'd love that sort of loft for all my Christmas decorations. And they were carrying the mirror across, and then they nearly went through the floor, and they went on forever. We were like watching two men trying to negotiate
Yeah, that did.
And then when it slid through the kind of loft opening, it didn't, you want a proper severing.
Yeah,
you don't want
yeah.
a bit of an injury.
Yeah.
So I thought it was all very safe. It was very vanilla, and I was very disappointed.
So what,
I'm going to give it 10.
Damn, it's low.
Why am I giving it 10? I just suppose because, I don't know, because
You
I did
laughed at
jump.
Rites.
I did jump.
You jumped a lot.
Yeah.
You jumped, when you did jump, you jumped.
I'm giving 3 for each of the jumps, and I actually genuinely thought the moment with the Axeman was scary. Even when he was
But
marauding
also, we're
after.
kind of taking into account that we've been spoiled rotten with the last 3 horror films
Yeah,
that
we
have come
have.
out recently that are very like up our street.
Yeah.
And
But if this is what mainstream horror is that most people are enjoying, I'm so pleased I'm not mainstream, because I found it really predictable. Sorry. There we go.
there you go.